Why?
That's a good way to start a video.
You gonna blow out my ears when I'm editing? What up, everybody? I'm Josh.
I'm Jason. I love that.
Happy Halloween! So we are watching Nostalgia Critic Top 11 New Halloween Classics. This is the New Halloween Classics.
Yeah, this one was uploaded 3 years ago.
Still could be Halloween.
So
in the thumbnail,
I wonder if there's anything that's been released since then that shouldn't be on the list. But you know, he'll probably update it eventually.
In the thumbnail, it showed Billy the Puppet from the Saw movies. And when I heard about these two movies, like classics and guilty pleasures, in my brain I categorized, because I've seen all the Saw movies and I love them, but I consider it a guilty pleasure because I know the later ones are bad. Yeah. The first one is really good. The second one's pretty solid. 3 and 4 is where it gets really muddy, and then the rest of them are really bad.
They're just basically trash bags.
Yes.
We also saw I think the vampire girl off of Hotel Transylvania on the cover.
Mavis is her name, yeah. I mean, that movie,
I should watch those movies.
I can get behind why that's a classic, because it's all the Halloween, like, movie monsters. And it's like, it very much, it's spooky and creepy, it's very much like, you feel that Halloween-ness, you know what I mean?
Halloweenus?
Shut up. I'm looking at the weenus right now. What does he say? Karen? Was that her name? From Friends? Like, I'm looking at
Fran.
Yes,
Fran, but I'm looking at the weenus right now, and I'm not happy.
Yeah, perfect. I'm trying to think, what else would you like consider a Halloween classic? I think the Nightmare Before Christmas is a classic.
Absolutely, that is probably.
I kind of have an unpopular opinion about that movie.
What?
Overrated. It's still good. Still good. I just think that people really blew it out of proportion. Like, people get tattoos of the characters, and I think that's a little bit too far. But I still think it's got good characters, good animation for the time. It came out the same year as Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that's actually reminds me of something. I saw this, like, not an animation, but more of a frame-by-frame, like, comic strip kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It just showed Grinch. He was laying down, and eventually his body was, like, decomposing, and all that was left was his skeleton, but that skeleton looked like Jack Skellington.
It's strange. He did one.
And his dog was Zero.
They both stole Christmas in a way. Yes, you're right. All right, so what? Let's just find out. Let's see if we agree with what the list is, because I really want to hear what he has to say about the Saw movies, because I love those movies, even though I know they're trash.
I think it's only going to be movies, right? Yeah. I don't want to see them be like, oh, well, I know this is
They could do like a Halloween special of something.
If it's good enough, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. And I'm still saying Nightmare Before Christmas is good. I'm not saying it's bad. I would never say that.
More credit than it deserves.
What?
A little bit.
What are you doing in my house? Get out of here! Get out! No, don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Ow! 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 Why are you looking at your hand while stabbing me? Ow!
That's pretty funny. It's supposed to be a...
That's for reviewing Food Fight.
What the... John Tron?
Nostalgia-ween!
Nostalgia-ween!
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy. Remember it so you don't have to. We all know the Halloween classics that we watch every year. From the old Universal monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein to the 80s slashers like Freddy and Jason, to even kids
they're
specials
good.
like Charlie Brown.
That's a classic. The Charlie Brown Christmas special. Or Halloween special.
Further and further. And sure enough, over the years, some new classics have evolved. The criteria for them isn't super specific. It doesn't have to be a certain time frame, very well known, or even necessarily a good product beginning to end. But they do have to be drenched in something new, something unique, something you can just look at and think one day.
Halloween 3?
Halloween. We're counting down the all-time best new Halloween classics, and trust me when I say the best one doesn't disappoint. We're here to make the top 11 obscure Halloween films even less obscure. Why top 11? Because I like to go one step beyond.
Okay.
So, sit back and enjoy the top 11 new Halloween classics.
What does he mean by new Halloween classics?
We'll see. Maybe we'll figure it out what he means.
Number 11.
Let's see what we got. What do we got, Doug? What do we got?
The Saw movie.
Yeah, starting off strong.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of these films. Even the first one I didn't like so much.
Oh,
There's a million
what?
things that didn't make sense about it. If you want more detail why, go watch Cinema Sins.
That's true.
That doesn't mean I don't see why these movies became a staple of Halloween. The concept of each film is there's a killer known as Jigsaw, and he sets up death traps where if you wish to get away with your life, you have to do something horrible, like kill another person, cut off a body part, or heck, even force a terrible American accent.
Technically speaking, he's not really a murderer.
Why, he sounds as American as Tommy Wiseau. The idea of torture horror certainly existed
gosh,
long
that last-
before this
that-
film,
the one you
but
just showed.
Not only was this the one that made it mainstream, but it was also the one that people put themselves in the situation. What would I do if
Yeah, that's what made it really
would I go
effective.
through the terrible deed, or would I rather let death take its toll? The film was so popular that the demand for sequels every Halloween.
That was Chester Bennington!
For several years, there wasn't a Halloween that went by without.
Oh, yeah, for
a Saw
years,
film.
like-
They even worked it into their advertising.
It's Halloween,
Even
it must be
people thought
Saw.
the movie was gonna suck. They had a tradition going, and they always associate it with the holiday. Even if it was the number 8.
Why did you just tell me the lead singer of Linkin Park was in these movies?
There would always be an audience. The Jigsaw puppet has also worked its way into the lineup of classic Halloween villains.
Yeah,
Whenever
it
you know
has.
that image, you know exactly who he is and what movie he came from. Whether you get wrapped up in the stories or not, there's no doubt about it that the Saw films have certainly left their mark. And chances are it's one that won't be healing anytime soon.
You have given people the news that they're going to die soon. Now you will be the cause of death.
By the way, the voice of Saw is the voice from the puppet
Jigsaw.
is no, it's Savitar from Flash,
Damn.
right?
Halloween 3, the season of the witch.
This one's
I
weird.
hated this film when it first came out, and I'm not gonna lie, I did too. Not only does it have nothing to do with the first two Halloween movies,
I know why though.
it was later reviewed that the producers wanted each movie to be a different story.
Yeah,
If that was the case, how come the first two continued the same story?
it was because
Hello?
Michael Myers was too iconic.
It just seemed downright silly. We go from a story about a slasher to a film about witches. Kind of. That use technology. Kind of. That uses spells.
Kind of.
To kill kids because kind of no real reason. Yeah, it's a pretty
It's got a catchy-ass song in it, too.
Whoa.
But as time went by, I did find myself thinking back to it a lot. I do remember the characters. I do remember the visuals. And who the hell could ever forget that goddamn song?
4 days to Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 4 days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
When I stopped trying to take it so seriously, I found it actually had its own strange, unique charm to it. It's surrounded in 80s decor, has all sorts of broody atmosphere, and by God, there's just Halloween stuff everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Everywhere. In a way, I actually associate this movie more with
Ooh,
Halloween
what about
than
Halloween
I do
Town?
the first Halloween. Simply because Halloween is all over the
Remain calm, there's still
It's
9
nowhere
more
near
movies.
Yeah,
as good
I was
as
just
the
thinking
first
about
film.
that.
In fact, I think you could debate whether or not it's even a good film
Ooh.
at all. But its love for the holiday, from the classic costumes to the candy to watching specials as a family, and some fucked up supernatural thing going on while watching it as a family. It probably hasn't happened to you much, but I have a past. It actually does kind of get you in the mood for the season. Maybe that's why it was called Season of the Witch, because it's not meant to deliver a story about the holiday, but rather an essence of the holiday. And there's no doubt you can
That's
feel
true.
that essence of the season all throughout the film. Whatever your thoughts, you know you get sucked into the witching hour whenever it's played on TV. What else can you say but Silver Shamrock?
4 days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Number 9. The Paranormal Activity movies.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
I've seen. Have you seen these movies?
I have not.
I have.
I mean,
The
that's
Paranormal
I
Activity
feel like
movies
that's
still managed to produce
kinda
many
required.
creeps with little
Oh
cost.
yeah.
While many
Super
see the
cheap
Blair
to
Witch
make.
Project as the film that made the found footage genre popular, it was definitely Paranormal Activity.
was
that
it basically
made
used
the film.
to made
The
through
film about a
found
couple whose
footage?
house
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
seems to be possessed by an evil entity. Started out in very few theaters, but word of mouth spread so fast that they actually worked
Oh.
into their advertising that people asked the movie theater owners for it. Yeah, isn't that weird? A commercial for a movie that's actually asking you to demand the movie in your movie theater. Can you remember another film commercial that's done that? Having never really been asked that by our TVs before, audiences shrugged and said, why not? They demanded to see the film in their theaters, and sure enough, it became a smash, resulting in sequel after sequel coming out. And
Two and
like Saw, it came
2 and
out
3 aren't
every
that
year
great.
during
4 and
Halloween.
5 actually pick
But
up.
unlike Saw, these films were much easier and faster to make because it relied on fewer production costs.
Yeah.
If it looked like amateur filmmaking, that was fine, because it was supposed to look like amateur filmmaking. It made it more realistic. And its point of view action made many audience members feel like they were right there experiencing the scares as the characters.
That was a bad throw.
Now, are they all good? Even the most die-hard fan would probably say no. Me personally, I think 2 is the only one that was actually great from beginning to end. But even at its worst,
2's fine.
every movie
3's
has
the worst.
something new and
Maybe I never saw the 6th
When you
one.
say
First one
worst,
has
like
very subtle-
jump scares,
second
or
one
it was
has
actually
really
not
nasty.
very,
The third
not
one
good.
has a
I'm talking about
slow
quality.
reveal of the movie
Quality.
camera.
3's
The fourth one had the clever use of the household appliances.
Yeah,
The
fourth-
fifth one, yeah, the acting was nice.
5th one's not that
It's
bad.
understandable if not everyone gets scared by these
Oh
movies.
yeah.
But the new ways each film delivers a new kind of scare is really something to enjoy. Even if you do gotta sit through a lot of repeated cliches to get to them. Always keeping the dread
Yeah, the
high,
repeat- the
Paranormal
repeated
Activity
cliches.
films knew how to scare an awful lot with an awful little.
And it's like it's just they're all slow
Hold,
burn.
hold, 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 hold.
Number 8,
Get your phone. Number 8. Jace, number 8 is
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin
Yes!
I've never seen a
Yes,
film
Cabin in
that
the
has
Woods.
such a devoted fan base of people who have dedicated themselves to not spoiling the movie.
Have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
It's amazing.
I've not.
Anytime
Dude,
you talk to
it's
someone,
so
they always
good.
say, "I can't tell
I'm
you
sorry, I'm
anything
not
about
into
it, you just
those
have
kinds
to
of
see it."
movies.
No, but you don't understand. This is not that.
Spoil it for you either. Though I do have to talk a little bit about it, but still, we'll keep this mostly spoiler-free. The Joss Whedon-written horror film relies much on
It's got Thor in it.
surprise and twists. So, like I said, I
Before
won't
he
get
was
too
even
much
casted as Captain
what I
America.
can say is on the
Thor.
surface,
Chris
like
Hemsworth.
any other
Yeah.
scary film. A bunch of college kids go to a cabin in the middle of nowhere and, of course, some supernatural evil tries to destroy them. Sounds basic enough, but as the film progresses, you find out very quickly that this is a love letter to not one, but every kind of horror movie ever made. And in a way you probably never would have expected. It tries everything to incorporate all the classic tropes through scares, humor, and damn clever writing. And honestly, to say any more would ruin the fun. And I think that's why so many people consider it such a unique, scary movie. It's a film you enjoy having revealed to you, and you get excited the more and more you start
Smack.
to figure it out. When you do figure out what it's up to, you realize you're having such fun with the concept, and realize that not only is it paying homage to so many scary genres, but it's practically creating its own. I don't know, I can't think of any other movies that have done specifically what this film has done, at least while still remaining a horror film. The discovery is too delicious to ruin, and I won't be the one to do it. So let's just say it's a ton of fun if you know the secret, but it's even more fun
I know the
if you
secret.
don't.
You don't.
This is both a great trick and treat on Halloween night.
Oh,
No matter
it's so
what
good.
happens, we have to stay together. This isn't right. We should split up.
Yeah, good idea.
What?
Really?
Oh, it's such a good movie.
Oculus.
Ooh, I've
Yep,
never seen this one.
film
I have
is
not
not even
heard
a
of
year
this one.
old, but already it has the makings of a classic.
I heard about
From
this.
its advertising,
Oh, that's
it looks
Nebula.
like any modern-day horror film. But when you start to watch it, you realize
Karen
how
Gillan.
diabolically
Sir,
genius it
do you seriously not know the
Neil
names?
Mann
I know the
was
names, I
raised
just
out of
don't
a
have the
mental institution
thought
where he was
capacity
rooted
right
by
now.
his sister. He was under the thought that a haunted mirror was responsible for the death of his parents and was thus put away for it. Just as he's released and he thinks he's gotten better, he discovers that the sister has found the mirror and wishes to prove to the world that it is indeed haunted, murdering several people in the past, including their folks. What follows is an exercise in insanity, trying to figure out what's real and what's not. The idea of a haunted mirror is clever enough, but all throughout the movie we have no idea if this thing is really possessed or if it's just our two heroes going crazy. The mirror apparently plays with your mental state, making you see one thing when something else is going on.
Whoa, whoa,
The reason
whoa,
this
whoa.
is so ingenious is that the brother has spent years having it drilled in his head that it's not. And the sister has spent years totally convinced that it is, and is literally devoting her life to proving it. Both battle
Very
back and
interesting.
forth as we descend into the madness of the past, present, and even future of what's to come. We're seeing the story literally as they're remembering it, if they're even remembering it correctly. And they're constantly getting visions of what could happen to them, or maybe what will happen to them. But again, they have no idea if the cursed mirror is real or if it's literally them sharing the exact same madness. Either way, they're both going crazier and crazier trying to figure it out. As such, we don't know either what's going on, and are terrified to see if they'll make it out of this alive or continue to torture themselves both physically and mentally, maybe to the death. You too have a
Is there time travel involved?
I don't think so. I think it's just how they're remembering things.
The line is so blurred that you share in the insanity and the paranoia of what's going on.
I feel anxious just watching
this.
this.
Second guess everything and keeping the suspense high. Even if you don't find it scary, it's a great psychological dive into the tortured minds of two siblings who don't know what's real anymore, transitioning the battle from the internal to the external. Great imagery, wonderful acting, and one hell of a great concept. Oculus may be recent, but I get the feeling its staying ability is gonna last for a long time.
You haven't heard of this movie?
Nope.
Number 6.
Let's see. What do we got? Number 6.
Murder Party. You probably never heard of this one, but
yeah,
trust me when I say it's worth the search. A low-budget horror comedy, the film takes place on Halloween as a lonely nobody is given an invitation to a murder party. He has no idea what it is, so he decides to get in the costume and go ahead anyway.
A murder party?
Without giving too much away, he's led to a location of the most insecure and pretentiously psychotic people you'll ever meet in your life. And the rest of the film is just him trying to figure out a way to use their own stupidity as a means to escape them.
Okay.
The whole film works as a messed up version of The Emperor's New Clothes, trying to use the second judgment of what's popular and what's not to try and gain superiority. But as the film goes on, you have no idea what each character's definition of superiority is, or how far they're willing to go to get it. One by one, we see a new level of idiocy revealed, and we, like our main character, try to figure out what degree these people are dangerous. Thus, he has to use his understanding of each person's moronic ways to figure out how to best them, even though he himself is not particularly smart. Think a conversation at the Mad Hatter's tea party, except instead of being seated in the chair, you're tied to it. And every action you make will either result in you living or dying. You're both on the edge of your seat and laughing your ass off as you watch these totally insane people try to act like they're one step ahead of the curve. High on creativity, gore, and of course, a shitload of laughs, Murder Party is an invitation you want to resist, but can't help but eagerly attend.
The low budget's a little bit of a turnoff for me. That's usually how things are, but sometimes I'll try to look past it.
Number 5.
What we got?
Coraline.
Ooh. You seen this?
I have not.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's been on my. But I remember it being on my list some time ago.
Released, though few there are, is trying to recreate that dark yet child-centered.
Claymation isn't something you see a whole lot nowadays.
But instead of turning
this
into
movie
something that's boring and tired, every single film has demonstrated something that's creative and new. And Coraline is no exception. Directed by the same person who did Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline focuses on a girl who wishes she had a more interesting life. She finds a small door where on the other end seems to be exactly that. She has a new mother and father that seem just like the old ones, except they seem nicer and better. But as she continues to visit this world, it only gets more and more psychotic, and soon it becomes an attempt to escape from the clutches of an evil demon. It's pretty much as batshit insane as it sounds. One of the joys of this family film is that there really is no perfect character. Everyone is at least a little bit selfish. Even Coraline can be kind of mean-spirited. But at the same time, it's made clear when they realize they've gone too far and when they realize who are the real monsters and who are the ones they love. This is one of the few movies that actually warrants the PG rating. But I mean that in a good way. It's not just a G film with a swear word or a sneaky sex innuendo in there. It's definitely some extreme imagery with some extreme scary ideas.
Oh yeah.
Especially for kids. But at the same time, it still has the charm and timeless characters to make it continually watchable. Characters that kids can easily relate to and enjoy. At a time of the year when kids like to be scared, this is one to get them creeped out without having to go too gory. In fact, it's not gory at all, it's just scary imagery. The whole film is filled with rich environments, creative landscapes, and strange creatures. The cold colors are perfect for being welcoming one moment and terrifying the next. Just what any little kid is looking for on Halloween. Intimidating and intense, but always coming back to the spirit of home, Coraline knows how to create a fantasy world with a dark edge.
Number 4.
We're getting there. We're getting pretty low. Let's see.
Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah.
As much as we all love to dump on Adam Sandler movies, I can clearly say this is one of his best films in years.
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
Spontaneous, romantic, and downright hilarious. This is one of the most
I feel like he should do more voice acting
of what
for
seems
stuff like this.
a one-note idea. Count Dracula has opened a hotel where all the classic monsters can be safe from the
I can picture him voicing a character. If they were to do animated Percy Jackson series, he could definitely do some. There are definitely a couple parts he could do in there.
Accidentally stumbles across the hotel and quickly falls in love with her. The rest of the film is trying to keep the human boy's identity a secret while also trying to keep peace in his humble abode. There's too many good things to count in this movie. The characters are all memorable and funny, each with a unique identity, and mostly SNL alumni to voice them.
SNL alumni, yeah, that was great.
Timeless jokes with surprisingly dramatic and heartfelt moments as well. The animation, amazing. This is some of the quickest and most energized movement I've ever seen on screen. Every action is filled with sharp and distinct motion. Every character has a distinct walk. Every character has distinct movement. But again, it never goes too far to interrupt the slower emotional moments. Sandler as Dracula sounds like a horrible choice, but again, he brings a real heart and passion to it, making him completely irresistible. Look at that smile. How can you not light up whenever he makes that face? What should have been a non-motivating idea takes advantage of every joke and every opportunity that can be done with it, turning out to be one of the most hyperactive animated movies ever. It's just always on. It's just always moving. It never lets up, except for the moments where the character's turmoil needs to shine through. And that's done pretty good as well. Its ambition is only matched by the dedication of its crew, and this crew went above and beyond what it needed to do. If you want to laugh at the things that go bump in the night, this is the perfect place.
He did a Naruto run for a second. Have you seen this movie? No.
I don't think I've seen a single movie that's
you know
showed
what?
up on this list so far.
Now you have homework.
Anime homework.
Shaun of the Dead. Have you seen this one?
Films like Night of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead.
A long time ago. I kind of need to rewatch it.
Not only satirizes zombie films, but somehow still stays faithful to them. The British comedy stars a lady.
This is the first movie of the Cornetto trilogy, I think it's called. But none of those movies even share the same.
I'm pretty sure like some of them die.
World.
Fight off baddies while also trying to get laid and drunk at the same time.
I love the part where they throw in the records, but they're trying to figure out which ones they don't want anymore.
Lots of hidden jokes in both the foreground and background are constantly flying by. The character's selfishness and idiocy constantly makes for lots of laughs that are silly, but
I think I need to rewatch this.
Which music album would you hold on to during end times?
Let's do it.
Sign of the Times. Definitely not. The Batman soundtrack. Throw it.
But what really makes it stand out is that it still works as a traditional zombie film. There's still a lot of suspense, there's still a lot of dread and grief, there's tons of social satire.
What the f-
They even have the painful moments where tough sacrifices have to be made. Incorporating a lot of the traditional character tropes, like the pessimist, the optimist, the kind soul, the mean old bat, and of course, the brainless losers. This makes for a very strange but enjoyable combo of comedy and scares, still showing their love and dedication to the zombie genre while also poking fun of it at the same time. What else do I even need to say about it? If you see it a million times, you'll see it a million more.
Yep.
It's dead on arrival, but in a good way.
It looks like I can see it's the same character who plays Benji from Mission Impossible, but he also looks like he has the face of whoever that actor was that played
Paranorman.
McCoy from Star Trek.
I think it was the same guy.
Be a retread of what's already
What's this
been
one?
done before.
Paranorman.
Kid-centered stop-motion film. But those who saw it know, not only was this film different from Coraline, but it surpassed it. Norman is a little boy who has the ability to see dead people. Yeah, again, sounds like we'll be retreading quite a bit here, but what makes it interesting is
at a certain point, everything is retreaded.
Brought back the dead as zombies, and Norman has to find a way to get them back to rest. Beyond that, much like Cabin in the Woods, I can't say too much more. A lot of it plays with expectation of character types, but it takes it in a totally different direction than Cabin in the Woods did. The film never goes straight up satire. It still keeps the focus on the emotion and turmoil of our characters. That seems to get stronger and stronger the more you see what's revealed. we realize it's not the ghouls that are haunting many of our characters, but rather the decisions of the past.
Ooh.
As you learn
Is that
more
a
and
lightning
more,
ghost?
there's a surprisingly powerful story about acceptance versus vengeance. You find yourself not only getting invested in it, but feeling for every single
keeping that whole
person
list?
who's
Yeah.
involved. That's very rare, not only for a Halloween film, but for a family Halloween film. The line for how to feel about these characters is so blurred that you don't know whether you're supposed to fear them or hug them. It could have been so easy just to make this a good versus evil story like a lot of Halloween films, but then we wouldn't be so involved in the tragedy of the story and become so emotionally engaged.
Aw.
Paranorman might surprise you in how sophisticated it can be with its overall theme. It has
Shit,
lighter
I think I gotta
moments,
watch this
sure,
movie.
but doesn't
Huh?
shy away
I think I gotta
from
watch
some
this.
very tough and heavy elements. It certainly gave much more than I thought it was going to. And for those
Like
who
I might
love it and
just
have
watch
watched
as
it
many
over and
of these movies
over,
as I
we
can.
know it's had quite an impact on us. It's that love and commitment to not just the idea behind the creepy characters, but the feelings behind them as well. That's what makes a great monster movie a great monster movie. It's finding that the scariest part about the scariest creatures is that they are human, and any of us can become these things at any time. But Paranorman does it in a way that's a little bit different. Again, I can't go into too much detail, but it's gripping, it's interesting, and even kind of touching. Its third act is radically different than what you probably would have predicted it would be. But again, that's part of why it's so great. It's constantly surprising and constantly delighting. Awesome visuals, a creative story, and memorable characters? That's
The
more
teeth.
than enough for a downright fantastic new Halloween classic. And the number one fucking badass awesome new Halloween classic is...
Zombieland.
You know what? I should do a runners-up. I don't usually
Okay.
do it, but I like the subject. I think it deserves it this time.
Zombieland?
Okay, it doesn't hold up the best
ring,
over
yeah.
time, but that creepy ending and that image of that girl in every single Halloween store, that's definitely worth mentioning. The Halloween that almost wasn't. Pretty silly and awkward, but the performances from these hilarious actors totally makes it worth it. The Halloween Tree. A lot of people wanted me to review this. I don't get why. It's creative, it's educational, it's Ray Bradbury. What's not to like? Raggedy Ann and the pumpkin that couldn't smile. Yeah, sounds lame, and it is kind of slow, but its atmosphere is so laid back and drenched in Halloween, it's hard not to like it. The Original Haunting. Pretty well known, so I didn't include it, but a timeless classic all the same. Trick or Treat. Kind of a hit and miss, but it might be the first film where the trick-or-treater is actually one of the villains. That alone is worth an honorable mention. Exorcist 3. Practically an apology for Exorcist 2 with much better story and
Damn.
scares. Zombieland.
Yeah! Love that movie.
I think Shaun of the Dead just did it a
Not
little
up or shut up.
Now on to number one. And I mean it when I
Number
say how
one.
awesome it is. It's nostalgic, it's funny, it's soaked in classic Halloween. Let's get right to it. The all-time number one new Halloween classic is... You know what? This film is so awesome and so cool, it deserves its own review. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. Tune in next week, guys, as I'm gonna dedicate an entire review to this 80s bomb that turned out to be
80s
a
bomb.
fantastic, awesome, kick-ass Halloween classic. I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and I can't fucking wait.
Well, what is it?
But I probably shouldn't build it up that much. Yes, I should. It's fucking awesome!
Come on!
Wait, maybe he'll... Really?
Are you kidding me?
Okay, I figured out what it is. See that? Season 7, episode 36. Episode 30... That one's episode 35, this one's episode 36. So it's Monster Squad.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
I heard of it. I never saw it.
Except he said upload next week. He didn't say in the next episode, so we don't know for sure if that's it. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Well, I think it's... I would assume, like, next week. I think... It's also, like, the next thing that shows up. All right, let's go through this list. I'm surprised you haven't seen... What out of the list, what did you see?
Nope. Oculus, that's Nightwing, maybe? What?
I think... No, that was the note I made myself. I think the dude from Oculus is the dude who plays Nightwing in Titans.
What's Hotel?
I didn't write Transylvania because I don't know how to spell that. I'm kidding.
Seriously?
I could type it, but we were also watching a video at the same time.
Any of those. Oh my god.
Come on,
You're right. I do have homework.
Yeah. Okay, dude. Let me say something funny about this. Okay. So Saw. I watched all of the Saw movies my freshman year of college in the span of a weekend. That was a nasty ass weekend, but I did it. Okay. Now let me tell you something about the Season of the Witch thing. Okay. That was Halloween 3. So the original plan for the Halloween movies was each one was supposed to be like the Twilight Zone episodes, like nothing, or like Black Mirror, where nothing. It's not a overarching story, right? It's each individual side stories of shit that happens on Halloween night. You know what I mean? The first one was Michael Myers, and what's her name, Jamie Lee Curtis, from 1978. 1978 was when the first one came out. Now, but the problem with the first Halloween one and Michael Myers and everything is that it was so good and so iconic that the studio was like, we have to make another one. So they made Halloween 2, and that one took place immediately after the first Halloween movie. And then Halloween 3, they tried to do their whole like one-off thing again, and that's what Season of the Witch came from. But that didn't work out, and people didn't like it. So they went back to the whole Michael Myers thing. So Michael Myers just forever just became associated with the Halloween series. That's what happened.
Poor Mike Myers.
I'm gonna Google it just real quick because I want to know if that is actually the guy who plays Nightwing. Yeah, it is. Okay, and let me tell you something funny. Okay, the Paranormal Activity movies, right?
All right.
I binged those in college, and what was really funny is that what I would do is I would just watch like just movies on my iPad while I was like on the elliptical machine at the gym. So imagine my dumbass on the elliptical machine at the gym, right? Watching Paranormal Activity 3. There's a jump scare, and I just go, ah! In the middle of the gym. People will look at me. I'm like, I am so sorry. I'm watching a scary movie.
All right, it's Monster Squad.
All right.
But we're not going to watch that video. That'll be a separate video.
That'll be a separate video that we're not going to do yet, even though it is Halloween. All right. All right. But, yeah, very Halloween-y. I love I just love how much something can just exude the holiday. Like with, Season of the Witch, despite what you think about it, like, you feel that Halloween-ness. It's not like with Halloween
Halloween-ness.
Shut up.
Fuck you.
It's not like with Halloween Town where they just took a regular ass town and had all the people run around the extras just walk around with Halloween masks on. It actually.
Remember the taxi driver who's just a skeleton?
That's actually a really good effect. All right. Yeah, and then the Saw movies. They kept making the Saw movies every year for Halloween. Like that was the slogan eventually. Like, if it's Halloween, that means there's a Saw movie. But I remember, I think around when Saw 6 came out, that was the same year that the first Paranormal Activity movie came out, and it kind of stole the thunder of Saw 6. So as soon as Saw 6, they lost money. So I think they didn't make as much money. So like, okay, we're gonna make one more, and then that's it. So they finished with Saw 7, and then they made Jigsaw like 3 years ago or something.
Just a movie called Jigsaw?
Jigsaw, yeah. And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah. But the first two I like them, and then, the reason it resonated with audiences is because it's like, well, what would you do in this situation? If you're in trouble. Well, the thing about the Paranormal Activity movies is that they're short. They're like an hour and a half each. That's why I was able to get through them all, is because they were like, none of them were like 2 hours long. That's why. All right. Well, I got nothing else to say. These are all great recommendations. I have got something I gotta watch. Now I guess I
got a whole list of things to watch.
Yeah, I guess I gotta watch Paranorman. I never saw it. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm Josh.
I'm Jace.
We'll see you guys in the next one.